Okie dokie. Welcome to another Lightning Strikes Twice, our really short two-piece lightning round, basically. We each have a topic apiece, 5 minutes to discuss, and neither of us knows what the other's going to bring up. So, Casey, you're first.
All right. Well, if forced labor camps became a thing in the US, do you think anyone would actually stop it?
Oh, man. Well, I think, at, at least now, I mean, long ago, there were things like that. Well,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
there was
like the
slavery.
Japanese
Yep.
internment camps. And, yeah.
Yeah, that I think people would today would be rather shocked at that. It'd be an abhorrent thing that yeah. Well, there's enough people who are worried about FEMA camps as it is, and they're like ready to bust out rifles and stuff if that ever happens. And that's just like not labor, but you're just kind of, oh yeah, we're gonna shuffle everybody into these places, and there you go, and you can't leave. Uh,
Mm.
if that ever did happen, all the Alex Jones people of the world would probably rise up and go nuts, just like this cat's doing.
Yeah, it just seems like nowadays in the US government, like doesn't really matter what happens. There's there's nobody that is supposed to be stopping things, actually stopping things. Like I'm more referring to the checks and balances rather than
Yeah.
like a rising up of pissed off
Oh,
citizens, which
okay.
like I kind of don't think will ever happen anyway
Well,
either. But
no, and I think you're kind of right in that people are very complacent and kind of
mhm.
just like, what? They'll talk and talk, but and scream and yell and
They
make
have no
memes.
Grombas.
Yeah. But nobody really it doesn't gain any traction, and eventually
Mhm.
people it just settles into the new norm, whatever it might be. And yeah, you're right. The system doesn't stop itself from doing whatever. Um, I mean, well, a good example is here in Washington State, we had the $30 tabs thing that came through.
Yeah.
It was very popular, and a lot of people voted in favor of that because tabs were getting out of control. And they were like, okay. And for I think a couple years, tabs were $30, and then they slowly started adding fees,
Yep.
and then the sound transit stuff, and it's like, well, now it's more money than it was before.
Well,
Like,
and it
especially if
and
you have a
it's
new
and
car.
it's worth noting that up until a few years ago anyway, it always was $30 tabs, but you would look at the breakdown, it was like your license fee, $30. And then like
Yeah,
processing fee, 27.95, and like and this and that and this and that.
that's what I'm
Before you know
talking
it, you're
about.
paying $200 for a beat up car. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I know it's ridiculous, and and I think the same would apply to whatever. I think yeah, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be vocal in opposition to things, but it's not going to gain any traction or on the legislative level or whatever.
mhm.
Maybe certain judges might possibly. I mean, who knows? It depends on what it is,
Well,
honestly.
I'm really disillusioned with the whole structure of the US government and you know, we always sat through history classes learning about checks and balances, and have you ever seen them really work? Like,
No, very
like,
rarely.
I've seen them in action, but I wouldn't say they're working. It's either and because of the two-party system, it's either nothing happens because of all the checks and balances and it's all political divide and stuff like, oh, the Democrats want to do this, oh, the Republicans want to do that, and blah, 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 and nothing happens. Or, like something wants, somebody in some position wants to do something, and then all of a sudden, like all these dominoes start falling, like, oh, so and so is happens to be leaning conservative, and especially when it comes to judges, like, what the fuck?
That
Um,
I don't get that one. That could
yeah,
be an episode right there, just talking about the political
yeah,
judges. But you're right. Like the Patriot Act, for instance, that
uh-huh.
should never have passed. That never should have gotten. Sure, somebody could propose
And
it.
it kept getting re-upped. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like even as political. things changed, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, the Democrats re-upped it, even though it
Obama
was,
signed it, and
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah. It's like that is, I mean, it's not the most heinous thing out there, but it's clearly not beneficial for us,
yeah.
or for anyone except for maybe the government, basically. And that's the thing. Like anything the state wants, the state will get one way or another, which is rather frustrating. And yeah, you're right. I'm completely disillusioned as well.
And
Um,
how did that happen though? Like if it ever was working,
oh man, dude,
uh,
that is, man, that's a that oh,
that's a
that was
big one.
going into that was turning into a full episode right there. Oh man, that's a good one. Damn. Geez, I feel like yeah, that's 5 minutes is not nearly enough time to fully cover that one.
Yeah.
Oof, man, my cat is trying to hop up on the chair, probably because it's a little chilly in the house, and he's trying to stay warm.
It is very chilly today.
Yeah, it's this is the first day of the season, right, where I woke up and saw frost on people's roofs.
Mm,
Like, oh, okay, it's cold. Well,
yeah. It's
winter's
1 degree
coming.
here.
Yeah, it's
Celsius.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, you fucking Celsius. Good for science, not for humans.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, before we go off on a mid-topic tangent, um,
Right.
uh,
How like yeah, like body temperature, like 37's okay, but 37.5 is a fever or
yeah,
something. Like
I
what?
know. Well,
It's hard to wrap
maybe
my head around.
I guess if it were like, instead of, if you move the decimal place and add an extra digit in there, so it'd be 300, 370, or yeah, 300 and wait, 37.5,
370 to
375. Yeah,
375.
yeah. Sorry, I
See,
was like,
metric's not that easy.
no. Well, after you've had a little bit of beer, it becomes a little
Just move the decimal place, they say.
it's not quite that simple. Okay, well, anyway, well, we'll go on to mine. I guess
Oh, we're
mine's
not talking about metric. Oh, okay.
I mean, we could, but um, mine's a kind of public health and safety ish topic, I guess. Um, and that is, lights are too goddamn bright,
Oh
like
yeah.
headlights.
Oh fuck. Especially headlights. Like
I mean, now compared to before.
yeah, yeah. No, I've been complaining about this for God, over 10 years. It's been kind of like going that way for over 10 years with
Mhm.
like the halogen lights
Well,
and all that stuff
halogen.
that
So it was regular incandescent. Then they moved to halogen, and those were like
yeah,
back when you had the round, square, rectangular options only.
yeah.
And then that kind of got transitioned into the snap-in bulbs and stuff. And then there was HID, which was the high intensity discharge, which had that kind of blue tint to it. And now there's LED, which has been kind of more and more prevalent. And those, dude, HID was already a little like, oh, but
Yeah.
dude, I'm seriously, like, when I'm driving, I notice the difference between when there's a car with like regular halogen lights versus the LEDs. It's like the LEDs, I can't even see shit beyond. It's like it just blinds me. And sitting
Right.
at a light with like a car facing me at the turn lane, I can't even look, because it's like, oh, if I'm staring ahead looking for anything, I'm going to get temporarily blinded. And then add to that this trend now, especially I've noticed it around here. They've been replacing the old sodium, like street lights, with LED. And the
Oh,
LEDs are like, first off, there's a point that you can see as you're driving. So that's kind of intense. But then the amount of light that you actually see on the road is not sufficient. So put those two together, and because I just thought I was getting old, right? Like, oh, I'm getting old. But then I'm like, okay, I like have been more observant of this and kind of paying attention. It's like, oh, when I'm driving down a section of road that has the old style streetlights and there's cars that have the old style headlights, I can see just fine. But it's like,
Yeah.
man, it's uncomfortable driving at night because of that.
Yeah, and it's kind of ridiculous that they've got like smart headlights and stuff that like you turn the steering wheel and the lights will like shift in the direction that you're turning and stuff,
Mhm.
which by the way was around in the 1960s too.
It might have even been the
Just
30s or
mechanical.
40s. Yeah.
Yeah. But like if they can do that sort of thing now, or even the smart lights that turn on when it's a certain kind of darkness outside, right? Why
Mhm.
can't they detect oncoming headlights and be like, oh, well, we don't need so much light now because there's a car that's also shining light, so like everybody gets light,
Yeah, exactly. I don't even
you get light,
understand.
you get light, everybody gets light.
Well, I don't know why this is even legal because, like, the
Yeah,
amount of light put out, it's basically like the other cars has their high beams on.
yeah.
And I would get a ticket for that if I drove with my high beams constantly on. I'd get a ticket because, well, duh, it blinds oncoming drivers.
Yeah, it
It,
is without a doubt more dangerous.
yeah.
And no statistic you can show me will convince me otherwise because all you have to do is just kind of understand how retinas work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there you go. You blind people and then it takes them a while to readjust to the
Mhm.
light levels,
Which mirror,
which never really happens because it's like constantly like going
well,
back and
and
forth.
it's milliseconds
Yeah.
are they count.
Yeah.
So yeah, and well, and that's the thing. It's like I don't even understand why this is even a thing. First off, we're so advanced. We have like AI engineering systems that develop like these perfect reflectors that are supposed to do everything. And it's worse. But it's like I can perfectly drive around with my old ass halogen bulbs and see just fine. Uh, Perfectly fine, no
Mhm.
problem. Except in the rain, because the street light, the LED. Oh, this is the thing: the LED street lights make it really hard to see where the lanes are when the road's wet. Whereas
Yeah.
you go back to the monochromatic sodium lights and stuff like that. Oh, you could see like even in fog with those things. I mean, it's like, what? I don't think this is an improvement. I think we're actually kind
No.
of going backwards.
Hmm. Hmm. Definitely. I had an idea and I thought I forgot it.
No, sorry.
Um, but uh, no, yeah, like well, fog is another thing. Yeah, because the brighter lights, like they always told you don't use your high beams in the fog, even though you can't see that well. Like that just makes it worse because it's refracting off of the fog,
Well,
and
and
so
actually, that
now
was
you kind
time,
of
but
have no choice, right?
yeah. Well, and actually, when you look, fog lights tend to be kind of an amber or yellow color,
Hmm.
because that monochromatic
Oh,
light does a better
that's what I was
job.
gonna say.
Whereas
That's what
when
I
you
was gonna
have
say.
this full spectrum LED kind of light, you
Yeah,
yeah, you can't see for shit.
yeah.
I mean, doesn't France the headlights are yellow there or something? There's some country where it was like standard practice to have yellow headlights, like kind of slightly yellowish.
I don't know about that. We're going a little long, but this is kind of interesting. When I was driving through Belgium at night, there were stretches of freeway that had red streetlights,
Huh.
um,
Interesting.
which I that was the thing I forgot to mention is like with these super bright headlights, we really should be moving toward tinting them red because red light doesn't affect the rods and cones so
Mhm.
much as every other spectrum of light.
Yeah.
And now
Well,
I understand that brake lights are red, but like
mhm.
you you can reasonably tell the difference uh, just with foreshortening. Like, is a car coming toward me or away from me?
Yeah. Well, and you could also use blue. That's not as quite as good as red, but it also doesn't really severely impact your night vision. Anything close to like white light or green or something like that.
Yeah,
Um, anyway, well, that was phew, man.
that could be an episode too, apparently.
We have two. We almost like turned them into episodes. Oh man. Well, I hope.
And they're off to the races.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody enjoyed those. I'm sure both of these are going to generate some comments because, yeah,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot to say about.
There's a lot of people that are all about those headlights. So
I mean, yeah, but it goes both ways. Yeah, sure, you can see better. It's like, yeah, I could have my high beams on because I can see better, but
yeah.
it impacts the other drivers. They can't see now. So is
Yeah.
that like, is it more dangerous or less dangerous because of that?
I used to be that dick in my van. I always had the high beams on. So I'm like right at your eye level with high beams
Oh
all.
yeah. Well, and with everybody driving trucks and SUVs and stuff too, that's a problem. And then I was like, okay, well, these already look like high beams. What does the high beam look like on those things?
Yeah.
Jesus, it's like two suns at the front of a vehicle. Oh man. Well, okay, all right, we're already going over time, but that's what we do here. Um, 5 minutes becomes 7 minutes, becomes 14 minutes. All right. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed these and stick around. We do this every week. So there will be another one next week. And we've got other stuff in between if you just can't wait. We usually have full episodes every week. Minute microscopy, minute microscopies, the shorter ones, usually every week. So yeah, stick around and take it easy, everybody.